Alrighty, here we go. We're back. Tazza, it's just me and you again tonight. How good's this, mate?
Yeah, BT back in the twos. He's still in the twos, unfortunately. He's I don't know. He's gonna need a big effort to get back in. It's 2 weeks out now, so we want to see you back. But yeah, look, we keep going, and it's a bit makeshift tonight. My
Yeah.
setup's a little bit it's a bit how you going, but
Let's
yeah.
talk about that from you, Tazza, because this is you look like you're in a broom closet, mate, and I'm
I
loving
feel
it.
like I'm in a broom closet. It's kind of got those vibes about it tonight. But look, I'm doing my best. We needed a couple of guys on, and we've got a couple of guys on. So here we go.
Look, we've done well, but we've made it live. This is probably a good time to just mention we'd like to be live every week, but sometimes things do happen. But we're on board this week. It's myself, Josh, Tazza on the call. It's StatChat here. We are reviewing round 4 of the AFL season, where there was a fair bit of action, Tazza. There's going to be plenty for us to cover. We are live right now on YouTube, so if you are watching along with us, hello. Thanks for joining us. This is a very interactive live stream. We're looking forward to getting you in the chat, getting you involved. There's plenty of opportunities for you to get in and say g'day. Len's are in the chat right now. G'day, mate. Good to have you on board for this Easter Monday public holiday stream. But let's start off, Tazza, the way we usually do. Our regular segment to start off the show, the hits and the misses. Now, the hit this week, there was a few options, Tazza, because there was a few good performances across the board. Where have we gone with it?
Look, I don't think we can go too far away from our game of the week that we did mention. I think, yeah, it was our game of the week. Our Brisbane
Controversially.
Collingwood. Yes, controversially, but I mean, it was the first loss we saw to the Pies this year, which is, I think, for a lot of the neutral supporters, is very great.
Yeah.
And we did flag that Brisbane were a threat against Collingwood, so we've got to go with Brisbane. I mean, you knock off one of probably the best looking team in the league, you're absolutely a hit.
I'd say so. And look, first thing first, we can't take full credit for claiming the Brisbane win, because I think we both said that we were tipping the Pies. Our chat
We flagged it. That's all I'm going to say.
We did flag a potential upset watch, but our chat was very much up and about Brisbane last week. So let's touch on them. And James Timberlake has entered the chat from our man from the States, and I'm pretty sure he is a Brisbane fan as well. So he's going to be liking the content coming through. It was a great win, Tazza. It was obviously the conditions up there weren't really playing as much of a factor as we thought they would, but the forward line for Brisbane's the real talking point, I think, because they were much better this week than they have been throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Charlie Cameron, I wouldn't say he was a lone hand, but geez, he stole the show with 6 goals, I think he had. Joe Danaher, I mean, I think he had something like, it'd be close to 20 possessions if he got over that mark.
Yeah.
But he got a heap of the ball and then really injected himself into the game, and that's the kind of game that he needed. He'd been so far away from the action for the first 3 rounds, but to get himself into the game against a quality position, you've got to be Chris Fagan would be stoked with that. Absolutely.
And I mean, this is the problem with Smoke and Joe, though, is we don't know what we're going to get every week. He can turn a game on his head when he's on, but he's not on often enough. And this was a man that BT was very big on last year, and he's gone cold on him, and it was for this reason. The inconsistency, we don't like it, but certainly a good game from Smoke and Joe. Cam Rayner, though, he's got a fair bit of coverage over the weekend in the media, particularly from the Volcano. 4 goals, a real offensive weapon, and this is what got him drafted number 1 overall, Tazza.
Yeah, this halfback experiment, I think you can kill that. You can. He doesn't need to be there. He doesn't need to step foot. I think that was actually Kane Corn's tweet or something. He shouldn't be stepping foot back into a defensive 50 ever again. And look, I don't agree with a lot of what Volcano has to say, but
not controversial from you.
Yeah, no, he is very divisive, and I know he's a Port man, but look, he left halfway through the season to go firefighting, so he's not really Port through and through, is he? So, but yeah, look, Cam Rayner, 4 goals, absolute, he's a star, and yeah, he is a bit of a barometer as well. Like Danaher, he can be a bit hot and cold, but maybe he hasn't been given the opportunity to flourish the way he did on the weekend. So all credit to him. It was a absolute blinder of a game.
And something we'd like to see more of. Did like the drive-by from you there from Kano. That's very good work.
He's not the greatest.
Yeah. So Lenzer in the comments here, he says Brisbane were great, but we couldn't touch it in the second quarter, and that's a fair point. I mean, Brisbane really won this game off the back of the second quarter, and overall for the rest of the game, you'd argue it was pretty well even. So certainly a good win against the Pies, but there's still a few question marks about Brisbane, I think, and for them to finish top four, I really want to see more out of this midfield. I mean, Ashcroft, Dunkley, Neal, they all had about 25 posies. Brisbane did win the midfield battle, you'd have to say. They won the clearances by 9, contested possessions roughly even, but a lot of that on the back of the dominance in the ruck, because Big O obviously was dominating whoever Collingwood was putting in there. So it's still an area for me, Tazza, where I have question marks on Brisbane, and certainly the hit, because they had a good win, but their midfield, which we spoke about so glowingly in the off-season, needs to be better than they have been.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much we're going to... I don't think Brisbane have got the Dunkley that they wanted, that they got from the Bulldogs. I'm not sure he's really adjusted to playing from under that Marvel Stadium roof yet.
That's a fair point.
I don't know if it's really going to translate as well. Ashcroft's doing everything he's really been asked to do in his first year, but the output of guys like Neal and McCluggage probably just hasn't been up to where they expected it to be. And yeah, they absolutely should have had the lion's share of the ball, of the midfield ball. There you go. I didn't mean that. I swear I didn't mean that.
Claim it, man. Come on.
But they should have more of it, considering, I mean, Big O against McStay for the most part. McStay's a forward and a ruck second, and Big O's a solid ruckman, so if they weren't winning that battle, then there was something seriously wrong. So, yeah, I don't read too much out of that midfield battle, but for Brisbane to be challenging for top 4, it's away wins. I mean, they can win at the Gabba all they want, but that's only 11 wins, 12 wins. So where are you going to find the other 4 or 5 that's going to get you there?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I mean Brisbane, 2 wins at home, 2 losses away from home. So, and the wins have been against good teams. They've beaten Melbourne, they've beaten Collingwood at home, and in my opinion, those are the best 2 teams in the competition right now. So, but we're 4 weeks in. A long way to go. So certainly not knocking Brisbane yet, but they're definitely a hit this week. I think that's without a doubt. There was some good teams that missed out though, Tazza. Your boys, Port Adelaide, very stiff to not get up as the hit this week. That was a really impressive win against Sydney. And Adelaide too. Yeah. They had a very nice win against Fremantle and have certainly proved me wrong. I wrote them off after week 2. Yeah,
I mean, it's early days to be spruiking Adelaide, but I did say that their forward line was a thing to behold, and it is looking that way so far. They're starting to put it together. Isaac Rankin reckons he owns Eddie's pocket already after about 4 games, which is just utter bullshit. I mean, he's got about 200 goals. I don't know what bets kick there, but he's got about 200 good goals to kick there before he can have half a claim on it. Richelli looks awesome as well.
Yeah.
So it's all coming together for them, and I mean the Dockers look a bit average too, but Adelaide, yeah, they were good from start to finish really there.
Yeah, we'll get to Fremantle shortly. Don't worry about that. Some good feedback in the comments. Coblo's Records, shout out to you, mate. Crisp was much too respectful. We might talk about Crisp a little bit more later on the show in our Ask StatChat segment. And James Timberlake didn't think the Lions would pull off the win. Goes to show that the Gabba is going to be a tough place to play, and it is. It'll be a fortress, and I think that's going to get Brisbane into the finals without a doubt. It's just a question of whether they can make it to the top 4. Alrighty, Tazza, let's go to the miss. And I like what we've started doing here in the last few weeks, which is on YouTube, Monday morning, we'll put out a poll, and we get our subscribers to vote on the worst team of the weekend. And that's who we touch on in the miss. And the miss this week, I think it was a pretty obvious call. 55% of our subscribers out there on YouTube voted for Fremantle as the worst team of the week, Tazza, and hard to disagree with the general public there.
Yeah, when you temper it with expectations, or when you compare it with expectations, they're absolutely the worst of the week. And I don't know where this Freo team is going, to be honest. It's
neither.
I was so hot on them.
You had them second. You had them second, Tazza.
I had Geelong Freo 1-2. I think we talk about this every week, but and we probably will continue as long as those two teams are in the bottom 8. But Freo just, I mean, they've lost Tab the Crab now, which might be a blessing in disguise. Who knows? But they were pretty awful and torn apart by a rebuilding. I mean, Freo are meant to be out the other side of a rebuild. You've got Adelaide who are in the thick of it, and they've just been torn apart. I mean, Dawson was huge in the middle. We'd already talked about the forwards for Adelaide. They were huge. They're putting together some good pieces, and they've actually got a bit of a selection squeeze if you look at the guys that aren't in the side. So it's a happy days to be a Adelaide supporter at the moment.
Not for Fremantle, though. So 1-3 now. They have not played a top 8 team from last year yet through 4 weeks. So that is really concerning. And the other stat I've got for you here, Tazza, on the run sheet, 5th worst scoring team in the competition. And if you take out that fourth quarter where they played 17 blokes for the West Coast Eagles, they'd be ranked 17th for scoring in the AFL. So that is a real problem. And as you said, Tab the Crab out. Hard to see how Freo is going to improve in the scoring department.
Yeah, I mean, they're already terrible going inside 50. So, I mean, it's... I don't know. Does Brody come back in? He's got to. I think he's got to come back in. Whether it's... I haven't seen the clearance numbers and...
diabolical.
I mean, he's a clearance guy. He's a contested possession guy. So I think they have to get him back in. But yeah, with Tab the Crab out, I mean, is it Cyclone Tracy that comes back in? Is it the Big Kahuna? All those nicknames. I don't know. He's got about 10 of them.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's any good though.
No, I know. Yeah, I've never seen a bloke with that many nicknames be so average. So you'd think he's better than that. But look, it's Fife is obviously. It looks like he's not a long way away, but he's long enough away to be out of consideration. So, geez, they're going to be parked over in Adelaide for another week. They've got some searching to do, I think.
No, they really do. They've got 2 problems. So we've spoken about the forwards. They haven't got a key forward, and this has been a problem for a long time. And it doesn't look like they're going to address it. Amos could be good, but he's still too young.
He's not ready.
Exactly. It's not his time yet. They need a guy. But their entries inside forward 50, their game plan, they're chipping it around. They're not aggressive. They're not this ball movement that we're seeing across the competition. Fremantle haven't embraced, and it's a big part of the reason why they are struggling in the forward line. They're getting the ball in there, Tazza. They're actually 4th in the AFL for inside 50s. They're getting the ball in there. Their forward pressure is good. They're getting tackles inside 50. They're locking it in. But as you said, it is shit ball. Their entries are poor because they're slow. And has J-Lo been left behind here? I mean, is this what it comes down to? Longmuir has just missed the boat with regard to where the AFL's headed.
I think it seems like the sentiment's sort of growing that way on JL. It's he might be too one-dimensional, unable to switch it around for them. That's the vibe I get. I'm not sure that he's really caught on to what needs to be done with this team. And it absolutely, we're seeing it in a lot of areas that fast ball movement is just the new way. Ever since the stand rule was introduced, it was the best way to make use of that was fast ball. It almost takes one guy out of the equation every contest, so it's almost creates an outnumber straight away. You've got some guy left stranded 10 metres behind you. But I think Freo need to get on that bandwagon sooner rather than later because they're so far off it.
Our chat certainly agreeing with this. Lenza saying Fremantle not making the 8. They're slow, boring to watch. Agreeing with our comments. James Timberlake, Freo out of touch with the modern game. So the chat agreeing here, and the stats back it up. 41% efficiency entering 50 on the weekend. They're at 38% through 4 weeks. No other team is lower than 40%. So what that means is on less than 40% of their entries inside 50, they're generating a score, whether that's a goal or a behind. So that is absolute piss poor. Conversely, Adelaide, number 1 in the competition at 56% of their entries getting a score. So that sort of just shows you where those two teams are at. And a 39-point win on the weekend of the Crows. That shows you right there. That shows you exactly where the game is going. I guess the question before we finish up on Freo, Tazza, it's 1 and 3. Can they make the finals? Because you had them in second. I had them finishing in the finals as well. I think this is a good team on paper, but they're not showing it. Can they make the 8?
They seem to be a good team. Yeah, from the back through the middle, and then it just all falls apart there. They were such a good midfield last year, which just shocks me that they're just not really getting a whole lot done out of the middle. Yeah, I think they can. I think they can figure it out. Don't ask me what the solution is, because I don't think JL knows, but I want them to. But yeah, mate. Yeah, I'll say they will, but I don't know what evidence I have to back that up.
Tazza says yes. Look, I went early on the Crows a couple of weeks ago, as you know. And it may come back to haunt me, but I still don't think the Crows making finals. I'll go with this for you right now. Fremantle are done.
Yeah.
Fremantle are not making finals this year. Stick a fork in them, put the cue in the rack, head to the draft, fellas, because they're nowhere near finals this year. If they keep playing the way they are, they're closer to bottom 4 than they are to the finals. Clip this, share it, do whatever you want to do with it. Freo, finals, not happening.
Yeah, I think, you're probably right. They've got next to no forward structure at the moment. So, when I say forward structure, there's no tall timber. There's no one to bring the ball to ground. The smalls can get it done.
Yeah.
They've got a good array of smalls. It's just the talls are that bad. And Jackson isn't ready to be... he was there to be a ruckman. I don't know what's happened behind closed doors, but he's just not ready to be a top forward anyway.
Yeah.
He's ready. He's there to be a third, not a first or a second.
Yeah, and the ruck situation is not... It's not working. Darcy's number 1. Jackson's not serving a role at the moment. It's
floating around in nothing.
It's a big problem. And look, BT's not on the chat at the moment, obviously, and someone has to be the spin doctor. There has to be someone on here that's making the big calls and is generating the headlines. I'm happy to do it. Happy for it to be me. I'll put my hand up, Tazza. Freo, done. Chat looking like they agree with me as well, and I like this. Lens is on board. Cobloaf says the F word, finished. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. A bit of validation. But if you're watching this back on YouTube after the fact, in the comment section, let us know. Thoughts on Fremantle. Are they finals? Are they done? It's only 4 weeks, but they just don't look like they're getting there. Certainly an interesting time for Freo fans out there right now. Let us know who's in the chat right now. We've got a few of our regular subscribers, and we love that. JT, Lenza, Cobloaf. Good to have you guys on board. If you've got any questions for myself and Tazza, the Ask StatChat segment, that'll be back as we get towards the end of the live stream. Anything else you want to know, keep it sending through. We're loving the regular communication with you guys in the chat. Now though, Tazza, it's your time to shine, and obviously trying time to you this week. You're not in your usual habitat, but no. Can you deliver the goods in Taz's stats of the round?
Look, I've got a handful here. So I've gone quality over quantity, I believe.
Oh, very good.
So yeah. We'll kick it off with one. So we saw today the Easter Monday clash, Geelong v Hawks,
Yes.
and it's not a clash that we've become accustomed to being a cellar dweller clash. It's usually been a battle of the Titans, a clash of the Titans, but today it wasn't. So, in talking about that, the biggest crowds for a VFL AFL game for a bottom of the table clash, they shattered the record today. So it was 52,000 was the previous record. Geelong and Hawthorn today, 65,335,000.
Yes, and they were witness to an absolutely shit game of football.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. It was good to half time.
Yeah. Hawks were surprisingly in it. I didn't watch this live. I checked it back after the fact, and I went, "What's going on here?"
I watched it to halftime, and I thought that the Hawks, the Hawks are in the thick of it. They're absolutely in with a chance. And I ducked out for about 20 minutes, and Geelong were up by 6 goals. So yeah, I don't know. They fell apart, and that's going to happen with young teams. But Geelong, not going to say they're back, but they definitely looked a lot better.
We expected Geelong to put in that sort of performance, and yeah, going back to what we just spoke about, that's part of the reason why I don't see Fremantle making finals, because I think if you out of the 1 and 3 teams that are left, the Cats are the one that are getting in. So
yeah, the stats stack up against them. So yeah, you're probably right. We spoke about Port their win against Sydney.
You must be up and about.
I was Ollie Florence kick. I thought that was going in, and I was spitting it. I saw it, and I had flashbacks of Jordan Dawson in the showdown.
Flashbacks of Jeremy McGovern. Flashbacks of Luke Shuey. It's happened a lot.
We've been on the wrong end of a lot of after the siren kick, so it was good to see one kind of go our way. But yeah, Ali at the death and some poor goal line defending from Sydney got them over the line. But so this is a bit of a niche one. Sydney wins versus each team since the start of 2017.
Right.
You've got GWS, North, Saints, 7. Got a sort of a few teams, 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3 games against Sydney.
As in Sydney have won. Yes.
Sydney haven't beat Port for the in 7 games.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's by far their bogey team. I was quite surprised by that. I like to think I know our better teams and our bogey teams, and I did not think Sydney was one.
That's an interesting stat. Is there a reason for that? Is there a...
I mean, you would think if it was a matchup, a venue matchup, you'd think they would have broken it. I mean, out of all games, you'd think they'd be breaking it on Saturday night, but no, they definitely didn't give it a run there. Well, they almost did, but didn't quite get across the line.
Do you think that this has got something to do with Ken lifting when he knows that he's under the pump? Well, do the boys lift for Ken? I think because I think that's probably a bigger part of this.
Yeah, absolutely, and I reckon it's also got something to do with the McCartan brothers going down.
Yeah, well, that's another story too.
Yeah, I don't want to get too pumped up about Port because I'll probably get rolled by the Bulldogs at Adelaide Oval, gather round. So, and we'll be back to square one. Ken getting sacked, but look, we'll enjoy it for a week. I've learned not to get too hyped up about this.
The highs and lows of a Port Adelaide supporter, I love it.
It is very high and very low.
Yeah.
The biggest crowds for the first 10 matches played at the MCG in the VFL AFL season. It's been a huge attendance record for AFL season 2023. They've beaten the previous record of 612,000 by almost 50,000. They're at 661,000 for the first 10 games played at the MCG this season.
Yeah, so, there's been some good fixtures too.
They have. So, yeah, you look at the fixtures, maybe that's sort of got them there. But, I mean, people are turning up, and that's the main thing. People want to get out there and watch. So, it's good for the AFL. They'll be loving it. It stuffs the coffers for them, and they're flush with cash.
Absolutely. Gill leaving things in a good position, you'd have to say.
You'd have to say, yeah. I haven't heard much about that, so I don't know what they're doing with that.
Yeah,
But
I think it's John Farnham. He keeps going. It's
he does, yeah. I
the
don't know.
ongoing
Maybe,
farewell tour.
yeah. Maybe he won't go. Maybe he's just it'd be like Leonardo DiCaprio and The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving. I'm not gonna say the full quote on air.
Sure,
otherwise, I might be in a bit of trouble.
I'm sure the chat will let us know. I love it. Very good.
All right. We've all seen the Shees.
Oh.
Harry Sheasel.
She's nuts. Absolutely, he's on fire.
He's had a huge start to his career. So huge, it's the most disposals after 4 career games in the VFL/AFL.
Unsurprising.
It's absolutely unsurprising.
Definitely odds on for the rising. Well, is he? I saw Ashcroft might have got a bit of love in the odds. Not that we gamble. BT's our man on that front.
Yeah, it depends which way you read it. I mean, whenever you're racking up 30 odd disposals, well, he'd be averaging what? That's 31.
Yeah,
probably almost 32. You've got to be close. You've got to be in front. But what Ashcroft's doing is pretty good. I mean, totally different positions.
Yeah, both.
You could argue that.
Both elite from an AFL fantasy point of view. And that's the main thing that we care about. Aside from their good output on the field, keep putting in those performances for the boys. We need that.
Cash cows. We love them.
Yes.
And I've got one. This is a very obscure stat here to round the segment off. Give it. I'll put it out to the comments for a minute if they can guess. It's a duo one. Most opportunities for brothers on opposing VFL AFL sides to play each other without it happening at least once.
We're talking. So
we've
about
obviously seen
the McKay brothers. Well, not even brothers. They're the same person.
Yeah, they're the same person. We've poked that many holes through them being brothers. They are absolutely the same person. So they're number 8. They're up to number 3.
Yeah.
In the list. There were 2 sets of brothers, one at 9 and one at 10, who have missed out on playing more. Can you guess them or the comment section? I want to see.
Consecutively to start the career or just in general?
I don't think it's consecutively. I think it's just in general.
Okay. And do you think these are 2 more recent sort of sets of brothers that we would know? Or
yep.
Yeah, okay.
The number 10 is very obscure, but 9, none of these guys are superstars at all, but they're definitely floating around in the AFL. None of them are in the AFL, I'll give you that, anymore. But they floated around for a fair bit.
We got the Selwood brothers maybe floating around there, the Carr brothers. Okay, I'm not sure.
Okay, I can't see the comments, so I don't know if anyone suggested anything, but
no one.
If they haven't. Okay. At number 9, we had Troy and Daniel Menzel.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And this number 10 threw me off big time. Nick and Ed Lower.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very obscure.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah.
The Brown brothers, says Lenza. The Brown brothers, are they in there? I'm trying to figure out which Brown brothers he's talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's been 2 blokes called Brown that haven't been able to play in the same game as each other, but they might not be brothers.
You'd have to imagine so.
Very common surname.
You'd have to imagine so. If that is it for the stats, we've got a couple more comments here. Lenza asking, could we see Sam Mitchell sacked soon? That's probably a good chat for our StatChat, but short answer on my end is no. But happy to hear your thoughts on that one, Tazza.
No, it's a rebuild. It's you can't go 4 games into a rebuild. There's good signs. I mean, they played good footy for half a quarter, and there's no experience there. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and Cobloaf Record saying, roll up the tarp, put it back in the shed, grab Ken, another code 0. The dream is still alive for another fortnight. So there you go for Port fans. That's pretty good areas. Callum and Tyler Brown is where Lenza was going from the Pies. So I'm not sure if they are on the list, but given they're on the same team, I don't think that really counts in terms of the stat you're going with there, Tazza. But that's okay. Not bad from you. Not bad from you this week, Tazza. I mean, again, the conditions would have troubled you, I think, but you've performed well, and that's what we're looking for. Good areas once again.
You're all about conditions, so yeah, I'm doing the best with what I've got, and I hope to improve very soon.
Good. Looking forward to it. Now, BT, not on the call, but that doesn't mean we don't do this segment. It is BT's Game of the Week. Righty, so look, this week, it is Gather Round this week, Tazza. So a lot of interesting matchup. It's all over the place in South Australia. We're turning our attention to a couple of teams. Well, one of them I didn't think anyone, certainly none of us thought that this team would be anywhere near the top of the ladder. But this is a top four matchup right now, and this is the Pies against the Saints. That's where BT's told us to go this week for his Game of the Week, and hard to disagree with the call here.
Yeah, we love to bash his calls sometimes, but it is hard to bash this one. It's anytime you get a top four clash. I mean, Collingwood at Collingwood, we know what they're like.
Box
they're
office.
They're the most exciting team to watch, bar none. Absolutely. So, but the Saints, I still don't know what to make of them.
Wow.
But they keep doing everything right. So, I mean, yeah, they've got to earn the respect. But this is the big litmus test for them. This is the one.
Oh yeah.
If they get rolled by 10 goals, they're just as shit as we thought they were.
Oh.
If they look, no, I'm absolutely not putting them in that. Definitely not. But like this is their chance for people to take them seriously.
Absolutely. So, Saints 4-0. So let's just put that out there. We didn't see that coming at all. But the Saints, you can't say they haven't played anyone yet because they played two finals teams from last year and beat them. They played the Dogs and they played Freo. Now, those two teams don't look as good as we kind of thought they did. So acknowledging that. But as you said, this is the litmus test. Collingwood's up and about. Collingwood, for mine, are one of the top two teams in the comp with Melbourne. St Kilda win this, they're right there. But the stats really backing up what St Kilda's doing right now. Number 2 in the AFL for contested possessions. The boys are getting in there, they're getting stuck in, they're getting hands on the footy first, and that's mindset. And that's what you really want to see from the Saints. Number 1 in the comp for their defence. They are not getting scored against, and that's purely Ross's system, as well as some really good performances from the guys down back. You got to say, Callum Wilkie on a roll, looking like he's certainly in the frame there for an All-Australian Guernsey. They are 15 points a game better than the next best team in terms of scores allowed. So this team, Tazza, is getting it done on the back end and moving the ball beautifully. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean the old adage that defense wins championships, wins premierships. It's 4 rounds in, but the defense is a bedrock on which to build a team. And I mean, no one knows that better than Ross. I mean, has he won a flag? No, but he's been that close to doing it before. So he's built good teams before, and it's no surprise.
The interesting thing is, we spoke a bit earlier in the show about Fremantle not doing what the rest of the competition is doing, and to extent, Saints are doing the same thing. Cold Records is in the chat right now, and he's gone with something that I was going to go with. Champion Data has put out the stats. Saints, number 1 team in the competition for using the boundary. Worst ranked team in the comp for using the corridor. So completely going against the modern strategy of today's game, and it's working for them. And that's why we're seeing Mason Wood putting up numbers that have him in All-Australian contention. Seb Ross is playing good footy out there on the other wing. It's surprising. It's surprising, and I think that's why we really want to see this litmus test, Tazza.
Yeah, absolutely. Conversely, Collingwood, I don't know the numbers, but I mean, I reckon they would be probably close to being number 1 for using the corridor. They tend to go straight up the guts, and it works for them. They've got the skills, the ball skills to do it. So it's going to be a bit of a clash of systems in a sense.
Yeah, and I said Saints were number 2 in the comp for contested possessions, Collingwood number 3. So this is where these two teams really earn their bread. They get stuck in and they win the footy, and that's mindset. So two teams that are all about doing the hard stuff. The ruck situation, still a problem for Collingwood, Tazza, and after last week, you got to ask the question, what are they going to do?
Yeah, I was only just going to say that. Rowan Marshall. I mean,
Oof.
there's a lot on him here to really give Saints first use. And I mean, we talked about Big O having the influence for the Lions. I mean, to me, Marshall's in another league. I mean, yeah, he's a great fantasy ruckman, but he also does a lot more around the ground than Big O. So, I mean, he should have it all to himself. And given the contested possession advantages that the Saints have had this year, there's no reason why they can't keep it going with that ruck dominance.
Yeah, so really good matchup this one. Collingwood versus St Kilda. Let us know in the comments below who you think's going to win this game. In terms of our tips, I have a hard time tipping against Collingwood in general. Part of it is because of the flack I copped on this channel last year for my lack of belief in the Pies. But I really want to see what the Saints do when the pressure's on. I'm not sure they're going to win this game, but I'd certainly love to see it and for them to really put their stamp on the competition as a contender this year, because that's what they need to do.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they're going to disgrace themselves. I'll go Collingwood at the G. It's hard to go against them there. I mean, they lost to Brisbane at the Gabba. I think they're going to be right up there for win. They're going to win most of their games at the G this year, Collingwood. So, yeah, I reckon they win by about 3 goals. It'll be a close game.
All right, so we're both on the Pies. In terms of the comments, Lenza is a Pies fan backing the Saints. So that's an interesting call. James Timberlake, yeah, a little bit of a hedge, but I don't mind it. James Timberlake thinking the Pies will still win the centre clearances, and that should help them in the game. BT has just jumped into the chat. Good to see you on board, mate. Collingwood by 5 goals, he reckons. So big result there. Also liked James Timberlake's comment. He reckoned that Carlton Adelaide was a good shout for a potential game of the week call, and I do like this. I do like it because BT is certainly open to criticism, and I don't think he's been at his best the first 4 weeks in terms of his games of the week. There's been some doubts, and I'm looking for him to bite back in the chat, but they haven't been clear cut. And Brisbane Collingwood was a good game last week, but we had an after the siren kick in Sydney Port Adelaide. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, we like drama in our games of the week. So if you're looking for drama, it was probably Port Sydney, but I don't think anyone was going to pick that.
No. I mean, potentially, but no. I think you're right. So there you go.
Would have copped a lot more shit.
Look at this in the comments. BT jumps on. Everybody jumps on board. Taj is back. He's questioning BT. Lenza says, BT, I think this is the first time I've seen you tip the Pies against a top 8 team. Unbelievable, sinking the boot in. And that's what we want to see. Now that we have got the chat up and about, Tazza, it's time for one of our more interactive segments. I've been thinking for a name for this segment because we haven't really got one. I'm going with the StatChat quiz. Every good sports show has a quiz, and really this is where we do it. I run the quiz, you get involved, the chat gets involved as well, and that's what we want to see. This will be each week it's sort of a different topic. It's an obscure topic. It can be from the past, it can be from the current, and really we come with a top 5 list. You need to name the players that feature on this top 5 list in a certain stat, in a certain category. Tazza, you were pretty poor last week, but it was a bit obscure, I think.
Yeah, I was.
This week is very obscure as well, and we are throwing back to round 7, 2019, and the reason for that is it's the last time that Adelaide beat Fremantle. So 4 years ago, round 7, 2019. Crows obviously with a good win on the weekend, so I thought I'll go back to the last time the Crows had a good win against Fremantle. So round 7, 2019, I need you and the chat to tell me who the top 5 goal kickers were in the comp that week. That week. So how many goals did they kick that round? I need you to tell me who were the top 5 goal kickers for round 7, 2019. And I will give you hints because that is very obscure. We're looking for a player from the Giants, the Dogs, the Roos, the Swans, and the Eagles for your top 5 goals kicked in round 7, 2019. If you're in the chat, get involved right now.
Eagles, Josh Kennedy.
It's not JK. He's not there.
Lacroix.
Lacroix is not there. He's not.
What?
He'd retired. He'd retired at the end of 2018. This is round 7,
okay.
2019.
Okay. So there was a Giant, did you say?
There's a Giant.
Jeremy Cameron.
Jeremy Cameron's still with the Giants. He's there. He kicked 6 goals, 1 against the Saints in round 7, 2019. Lenzer was on it as well. He got it.
Okay. You say a dog?
I'm looking for a dog.
Oh, 2019. Norton? Norton, he wasn't.
Aaron Norton is there. He kicked 5 goals, 3 against the Tigers in round 7, 2019.
All right. Who else we want? I need to find an Eagle. It wasn't Jack Darling.
It was Jack Darling. Jack Darling is equal 5th. He kicked 4 goals, 2 against the Suns in round 7, 2019. So we're looking for a Kangaroo and we're looking for a Swan. Taj in the comments below. Again, Taj, tell me how to actually pronounce your name because I've got no idea. I keep butchering it. Taj and Coblo Records say Big Ben Brown, and it's not Ben Brown.
Oh, okay. It can't be Nick Larkey. He wasn't around then.
It's not the Suvlaki. No, we're not looking for the Suv. Round 7, 2019 against Carlton.
Oh, geez, that's a rough one. 2019.
This is the man that kicked 5 goals in this game.
Was he a key forward? Are you going to give me that much?
I wouldn't describe him as a key forward, no.
Wasn't Zeeble? Was he playing forward?
Wasn't Zeeble. It wasn't Zeeble, but it's good areas, is all I'll say.
Okay.
Lenzer in the comments has helped you out. Cam, the man, Zerha with 5 snags.
Oh, really? He was kicking... Wow, he was kicking bags back then.
Yeah, jeez. Cam Zerha with 5 snags in round 7, 2019. He's on the list. I'm just looking for 4th spot now. I'm looking for 4th spot, a Sydney Swan, and it's not Lance Franklin.
It's not Buddy. It's Sam Reid.
No, it's not Reedus. He's not there.
Ooh, okay. Is it a small forward or a medium forward?
It is a small forward. Yes.
Oh, Papley.
Yeah, the Pap. The Pap is there.
The best celebrator in the business.
Yes, he is. Tom Papley rounding out our top 5. He kicked 4 snags against the Lions in round 7, 2019. There you go. Cameron, Norton, Zerha, Pap, and Darling, your top 5 goal kickers from round 7, 2019. There's the StatChat quiz. Done and dusted.
Zerha was a niche one. I honestly didn't know he was... I didn't think he was in...
that good a form?
I wasn't sure he was around then. So he's still quite young.
Yeah. So what was that, 4 years ago? And Carlton were pretty dog shit back then. So pretty easy to kick bags. Ben Brown actually kicked 4 against Carlton as well that week. So 9 goals between the two of them. There you go. The StatChat quiz. Very obscure, but we like that here. Obscure stats on the StatChat. There you go. Taj says he'll explain his name to BT when he's on.
Just phonetically describe it to us.
Yeah, no,
in the comments.
It's a good excuse for BT to get back on board. I think he needs a lift. He needs to come back from the twos, and we're looking forward to having him back on the show. Now though, it's a time for us to again talk to the chat, talk to the comments, because this is one of our most beloved segments. Tazza, this is the bold predictions. We had a lot of predictions coming in last week, and most of them were shit. Most of them were absolutely terrible. Tazza, and on the run sheet in front of you there, we've got all the calls that we made last week, and it might be worth you reading through a few of them, I think.
Where are we? Yeah, look, I'm going to start with the calls from the comments. Yeah, they weren't all that great. Cats to lose to the Hawks from Captain LF. I mean, you're looking good for a half, but yeah, it would turn pear-shaped pretty quickly. So that one gets a fail. Lenza, a play to kick 9 on Saturday. Higgins had 5, so you're halfway there, but I mean...
That's not good enough.
No,
that's not good enough, Lens. You need a big one from you.
You're barely halfway, so sorry. It was a bold call, but absolutely nowhere near it. Yeah, I've got to say, Taj. Cameron and Hawkins kicked 9. Cats still lose. I mean, Cameron almost kicked 9 himself.
They kicked 10 combined.
Yeah, exactly. But the Cats, they won. So I'm not sure who you thought was going to kick goals for the Hawks because they don't really have much of a forward line, but yeah, apart from Luke Bruce. But yeah, look, that's another fail.
This is a good shout. This is a good shout here.
This is very close. It's obviously we can't give it because it's just you're just a little short, but this might be as good as we've had
all
from
year,
memory.
I'd say.
Yeah, this is the best call of the year so far. Cameron and Hawkins 12+, and the Cats win by 60+.
Sports nut. That's great areas, but it's not there.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron obviously holding up his end of the bargain there, but Hawkins hasn't been great so far. Chipped in, but just didn't quite get it done.
This is just missing the outside edge and needing Snicko to not get us over the line. That's tough.
It is tough. What do we got? Alex K. Yeah, I'm not even going to pronounce the last name. Collingwood versus Brisbane, 250 points combined. I don't think we even got close to that.
No.
No player to kick more than 3.
But Charlie had 6, so...
There you go. He doubled that, so that's unfortunate, but no. Sean Davies, the only man to have got one right, as far as I can remember. Josh Dacos and Elliott both for 3+ goals. Didn't quite get it done.
No.
And last but not least, top fix.
Well,
Gold Coast to beat the Saints.
It was least. It was a lemon herb call, and it was... I mean, top fix. We love the feedback, but you've got to be better than that. You need to be giving us a bit more substance than that, I think. So that's okay. There's always next week. He can live.
Just got to learn from it. It's onwards and upwards from here. Top fix. We just need a little bit more. I mean, even if you got it right, it's not really a bold call. So we just need a little bit more.
Yeah, no.
A little bit. We probably need a fair bit more.
We do need a lot more. My call last week was no good. I tried to ham it up to try and get the clicks. It was nowhere near it.
You picked the wrong player.
I know. I mean Ben King. I think for 8 he kicked 1 and he had no marks.
If you'd had Noah Anderson, you might have been close too.
Yeah.
With the disposals, he had a game and a half. He was unreal.
Yeah. Noah was putting the team on his back, but couldn't get it done. BT was no good. He had 15 goals and 20 marks for Lynch and the Nort. None of them had double digits. And Tazza had the Saints by 50+, but Bytel was the sub, so he wasn't getting it done.
Yeah.
And Rowan Marshall got nowhere near it in the marks department either. But not bad with the Saints by a big margin. So
yeah, I'll take that. But yeah, like we said, it's just not close. We got to do better.
All right, well, I'll let you open the bowling, but we do have one quick one from Lenza in the comments. He says he's getting it right this week. He says Jordan Dawson got 173 Supercoach points against Freo, and he's backing it up with another 180 this week. Big numbers. We're not Supercoach guys, so we don't know the exact correlation from fantasy to Supercoach, but 180 is still a huge score, and against Carlton. So that's Carlton's no pushovers. So that's a decent call. I'd like Lenza to tell us if he thinks that the Crows are getting the win, because I think that would make it bold for me.
Yeah. Now, I can tell you, I've got Dawson in my fantasy team, and I think he was on 124. from memory. So yeah, I've been long awaiting a decent score from him this season and finally got it. So I'm up and about on that.
Yeah.
Off the long run up, I will come in and I'll go straight to the Adelaide game as well.
Very good.
My bold prediction. So I love preempting a in for teams. I just love it. I don't know why I do it, but I do. And it ruins my bold predictions straight off the bat. But Darcy Fogarty's coming back into this team.
Okay.
I think he's good to go.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have Fogarty and Rankin. They're gonna combine for 12 goals.
Oh.
Dawson. He's gonna have Laird bounce back game. He's gonna have 35 through the midfield.
Okay.
And Adelaide win.
So it's a triple dip. So
it's a triple dip.
What was that? That was Rankin, Fogarty for 12, which is huge in itself. Laird
I was going to go 10, but I went even bigger.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the boldness there. Laird for 35 just adds a little bit of spice, but nothing too substantial. And the Adelaide win just taking over the top. For me, Tazza, this is ridiculous. I'm happy to give it. I'd love some feedback in the comments to validate it. I know BT's sniffing around. He'll probably poo-poo it. BT says bold. BT says bold straight away.
Thanks, BT. I'll take a bold from you.
You'll take a bold. I think if we get any other feedback as well, I'm happy to pay out on that. But it is a good call. It is a very good call and hitting all the right areas.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. That was done on the fly too. That was I did not have that pre-recording, so or pre-going live. So that was done in about 1 minute.
I couldn't half tell. James Timberlake saying ridiculous. Lenz is saying in between bold and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look, for me, I'm calling it ridiculous. I'm going in. There it is. Ridiculous.
I was aiming for ridiculous areas. So look, it's around the mark. I think the consensus is somewhere around there. But yeah, ridiculous is good. I'll take that.
Ridiculous is on the board. Dale Goodman jumping in the comments. Hi to you, mate. Thanks for jumping on the stream. We are doing bold predictions right now. If you have any bold predictions and you're in the chat, give us a comment. Let us know your bold predictions coming up for round 5 of the AFL season. BT, our regular co-host, in the chat right now, his bold prediction for the week. Nick Dacos and Jordan De Goey to combine for less than 40 disposals and 1 goal. Collingwood to still win against the Saints. I like this call. I think this is definitely bold and probably borderline ridiculous.
And to still win. Yeah, absolutely.
Can we put a caveat of no injuries on this as well? Because I don't want to see this get up just through an injury to one of those two blokes.
It's got to be through both players making the end of the game. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Dacos is the barometer. Everything runs through Dacos in that team. So for Collingwood not to win without Dacos doing well, is big.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's bold. It is bold. I mean,
it's not ridiculous. It's not out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah, I'd love some people jumping in on the chat. I mean, Lenza says it's ridiculous. I think if we get another pro BT ridiculous call, I'd be happy to pay out on it. But for me at the moment, it's just bold.
Yeah, I find it's... I mean, we've seen, obviously, De Goey's different this year. I think he stepped it up a level, but we have seen games where De Goey is just a non-existent... He's a non-factor. So... But for Collingwood to win as well. Generally, if he's a non-factor, they're losing, but... Yeah, it's a bold. It's a bold. Okay. No one else of validation. Dale Goodman jumping in the chat, and he says Mitch Owens rising star this week. It's a good call. It's a fair call if you've got some stats to go with it. Because at the moment, I'm not going to say it's definitely not lemon herb, but it's definitely not in bold areas just yet. So give us some stat. Oh, here he goes. He's lifted straight away. Philippou 5 goals, 20 touches. Saints and Collingwood will have a draw is my prediction. To go with the Mitch Owens rising star, we're straight into ridiculous. He's
He's just followed it straight up. I love this call. That is great stuff there from Dale Goodman.
Philippou 5 goals. Yeah, that in itself is bold. And anything else is sprinkles on the top,
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. That's ridiculous areas, mate, and I like it. Cobloaf Records jumping in. Gold Coast win by 9 points, only scoring 9 goals with 9 different goal scorers. It will be dire. I'm not sure what's going on there. If you're calling it 9 points on the nose, it's a Steve level call. If it's just 9 plus, then it's ridiculous for me.
Yeah, if you're picking a margin down to the point, it's Steve automatically, and nine single goal scorers. That's Steve.
That is
every day of the week.
That is obscure, and I'm going to put it into Steve right now. It's on the board. I think that's our first Steve of the year. That's very good work from Cobloaf. There's a couple more in the comments, but I'm going to go with mine first because I had a poor showing, Tazza. I sort of strayed away from where I know, which is sort of the realms of getting it sort of correct. And I've sort of gone back to my roots a bit here, because if you watched this channel last year, you'd know that I like to go with sort of grounds. And this is not a grounds. This is not a grounds pick, but this is to do with the ground. So as you know, it's gather round. It's gather round this weekend. All the teams are going to South Australia, and they're all playing in South Australia this weekend. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Gold Coast Fremantle is where I'm turning my attention to. The lowest attendance at a game since the year 2000 that wasn't a COVID-affected attendance was Gold Coast and North Melbourne. It was played in Cairns in 2018, had 3,722 people in attendance. This game, Gold Coast and Freo, is being played at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon in Norwood, so in regional areas. This game, first part of my bold prediction, this game will shatter the record and will have less than half that number. So I'm having less than half. So I'm going less than 1,861 people to be in attendance at an AFL game. That's part one of the prediction. Part two, it will also be the lowest combined score for a non-COVID affected game since the year 2000 as well. And I'm not exactly sure I've got that stat right, but the best I got was North Melbourne and Geelong in 2019. It was an absolute spectacle where it was 14 versus 69. So there was a total of 83 points scored for the match. So I think that's the lowest. That's the lowest I've got. So I'm saying that the Gold Coast Freo game it will shatter the record for the lowest attendance. So less than 1,800 people will go to watch this game, and there'll be less than 83 points scored between the two teams. That's where I've landed with my bold prediction, Tazza.
Just to get the less that's ever been recorded, I think that's it's bold. I'm straight with bold, and then it's got to be ridiculous. I think there's a lot of you've got basically two. There's a
lot happening there.
Two lowest ever stats. You're going for the most dire of dire games.
Yeah, this is going to be an absolute shit show. Don't go back and watch this on the KO after the fact. So less than 83 points combined, and 1,861 people or less to be in attendance. Lenza says Steve. I'm not even going to pay that for myself. I don't think it's Steve.
It's 3 p.m. at Norwood. I mean, one, most people are still at work, and two, it's Norwood. I don't know its proximity to the city. I should, because I've been to Adelaide a couple of times, and I'm going in a couple of weeks. But I don't know its proximity. But it's still it's a working hour. So, and two teams that really don't
have no business being in South Australia
in Adelaide. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's bold, but it's not Steve.
Yeah, okay. I'll settle on bold there, and I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a pretty good area for it if I can get my stream working. Bold.
I should have known where you were going, because you do love those ground ones.
I love a good ground, and when I see it obscure ground, I'm
You're
on it.
fixated.
I'm on it like a hawk. Well, there you go. There's our bold predictions. We had one more in the comment from Taj. He says Gold Coast to win by 2 goals. Brayshaw to get 30 plus touches. Amos to kick 4 goals, and also 16 free kicks against Fremantle by half time. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot to unpack with that prediction. Brayshaw 30 plus. That's a gimme, I think.
It's fairly regulation though.
Gold Coast by 2 goals is not outlandish. Amos to kick 4, I think, is decent, and 16 frees against by half time is a bit wild. So I think adding it all up, it's definitely bold.
It's definitely bold.
Definitely bold.
I wouldn't say it's ridiculous.
Neither. I'd
Amos
say bold.
for 4 goals. Yeah, it's bold.
Yeah, I think bold is who will land on that.
Gets a tick.
Yeah, and Dale Goodman just jumping on with the second call, and we like this. Western Bulldogs to win by 100 points. Ken Hinkley to get sacked. There we go.
Hey. Just let me enjoy my week for a little bit, will you? No, honestly, I would not be surprised to see Port lose. It'll be all sunshine and rainbows for a week, and then it's back to Ken getting the sack. Yeah,
there you go. It's tough as a Port Adelaide supporter. The highs and the lows, as we said a bit earlier in the stream. So there you go. That is the bold predictions. If you have any bold predictions and you're watching this video on YouTube, in the comments section below, let us know, and we will give you a roasting next week if it's a shit call. We love doing that. Lenza, I love this. Dale, if that happens, I'll give you my StatChat sports merch. I can guarantee that won't happen. That's good. That's very good. And Lenza, wear that StatChat merch with pride, mate. It is a precious commodity. Not much longer left in the show. We're going to do our tips, and then we're going to head to our Ask StatChat segment. Okay, Tazza, let's go around the grounds. We're doing our tips for round 5. Gather round. First cab off the rank. Thursday night. Crows hosting Carlton. Should be a really good game, this one.
Yeah, I haven't got a Thursday tip right yet, so I would hardly trust my tip here. My margin is shocking off the back of that. But I'm going to stick. I've already, obviously, you've seen it, my bold prediction, if you've seen that part. Adelaide. I'm going for the upset.
Yeah, Carlton currently undefeated. Adelaide are 2-2, but with a couple of impressive wins. I like Adelaide as well. Adelaide at home, big round, big fixture, packed house. Carlton have had a couple of good wins, but they haven't been super convincing the last couple of weeks. I think they'll get knocked down a peg, and it'll be a little bit of a banana peel game for them. Fremantle, Gold Coast. We spoke about this in the bold predictions. An absolute snooze fest of a time slot at 3:10 in Norwood. Nobody watching this game. Tazza, your tip.
Gold Coast. I think they get the midfield battle here. I think they can win it. I think they've got too much grunt out of the middle. Provided Witts is back, though, because that was a big miss on the weekend.
Okay, I like that. If Witts plays, Gold Coast win. If he doesn't, Fremantle win. That's a hedge, but that's what I'm going with. Richmond, Sydney Friday night. Good fixture, this one as well. Sydney obviously coming off the heartbreaking loss. Richmond also losing late against the Doggies. So both teams searching for a win, Tazza.
Yeah, I'm going to go... Oh, jeez. Looking at the odds here, I'm just looking at the app. Jeez, Richmond are very long odds for this game, but Lynch out. I don't know where they get the tall stocks go from there. McCartan brothers, one of them's out, maybe 2. I'm going Richmond.
Yeah, it's Sydney for me in this one. I think Lynch is a big loss. I think that Richmond have been a bit disappointing to start the season. I had them finishing top 2. And they don't look anything like that right now. Sydney for me winning this game. Brisbane, North Melbourne. This is an early time slot on Saturday morning, and I think it's also an obscure ground as well, Tazza.
Yeah, AHL. What the hell is that? Is this the Barossa one?
I think it might be, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I know they're playing a game in the Barossa, so this might be it. I mean, you'd have to go Brisbane. I mean,
Yeah.
I know they don't like playing away from the Gabba, but I think they'll just have a little bit too much here.
Yeah, Brisbane for me as well, and will be interesting to see. I mean, look, if Brisbane go 0-3 away from home, alarm bells start ringing. Essendon versus Melbourne, Saturday afternoon. Melbourne coming off a bruise-free second half against the Eagles. Essendon as well, impressive win over the Giants. They blew them out late, but it was a good game all throughout.
Yeah, I'm going Melbourne. I mean, Essendon, I think they're, apart from Jake Stringer being the one-man forward line there, 4 goals, 6, and that unreal talk he kicked. He was just having a bit of fun there with the Giants, but I think they're going to lose Wiedemann off the back of him being subbed out, and their tall stocks aren't really there. So, yeah, it's all Melbourne.
Yeah, it's D's for me as well. Good to see the package up and about. Footy's better when the package is firing.
Absolutely.
But Melbourne for me, and I don't think it'll be that close. Port Adelaide hosting the Dogs on Saturday night. Obviously, Port Adelaide at home in a bit of a marquee time slot for them.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm going to say Port, but with my tipping, I will be going Bulldogs because I love to hedge my bets in these 50-50 ones.
Oh, hang on. So you're telling me you don't give the StatChat community your absolute undying advice?
Oh, well, in that case, I'll take the Bulldogs because, I mean, the Bulldogs love playing Port here. Hark back to the 2021 prelim final. 70 points later,
Oof.
The Dogs absolutely tuned up Port. So they do love it here. At Adelaide. So, yeah, go the Doggies.
Port Adelaide for me. The Bulldogs still haven't done enough to convince me that they're a good team. Neither have Port Adelaide, so when in doubt, pick the home team. That's about all you've got from me there. Cats, Eagles, Sunday afternoon. Cats are going to win this. No more needs to be said on that. Giants are playing Hawthorn, 1:20 Western Standard Time on the Sunday afternoon. This is an interesting fixture, Tazza. I personally like the Giants.
Yeah, I think you take the Giants here. They should have been beaten by a lot more on the weekend, though. If Essendon had kicked straight, it would have been a 10-goal game. So I think it'll be closer than I think a lot of people suggest. But I'll say the Giants.
Yeah, I think the Giants should win this one. In our chat right now, Dale Goodman, in reference to the Geelong West Coast game, he said the Cats are winning this by 180 points. And Jezza to kick 14. That is a Steve-level call if I've ever seen one.
14 wouldn't surprise me. He is in some inspired form. He is the reason that they haven't been flogged and that they really hung in that game today.
Yeah, Jezza has been elite to start the season, and that is an elite call from you, Dale Goodman. Nice work. Final game of the round. If you watched our preview of the Collingwood Saints game, you would have known our tips, but Tazza, we're both on the Pies in this one.
Yeah, got to take the Pies. They're not the form team. They are coming off a loss, but they have shown the most this season and at the MCG. Oh, sorry, it's not the MCG. It's Adelaide. Sorry, I think I better clean it up from the. I think I said the MCG. Adelaide over. I still think they'll have too much there.
Yeah.
They're the most skillful team in the comp at this point.
Yeah, Pies for me as well. And interestingly, we have actually tipped against the two undefeated teams in the comp for this week, Carlton and St Kilda. So, yeah, that's some interesting tipping right there. If you are watching this back, tips in the comments below. If you got 9 last week, brag about it. Let us know. I mean, that's some impressive stuff because the tipping has been difficult to start 2023. All right, before we wrap up this live stream, we're entering now the Ask StatChat segment. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. I'm putting it on my watch right now. The time has started. Basically, if you're in the chat right now, if you've got any footy-related questions, let us know. We will answer them. Just to start off, though, before we start getting the feedback coming in, Tazza, thoughts on the gather round? Are we a fan of this?
I don't know. Mm. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if you're Collingwood, I mean, I don't really care about Collingwood fans a hell of a lot. I mean, they get everything that they need anyway. But you'd be spewing if you're a Collingwood fan. Collingwood Saints should get a huge attendance.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was at the G, it'd probably be getting 80 minimum, and then they should pack out Adelaide. I would hope so. But if they get 40, you'd be spewing because it's half of their attendance there. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it's good as a festival, but I think too many clubs lose.
Yeah, I think we'll wait and see how the numbers and the attendance goes. I'm sure the AFL will spin it positively, but at the moment I'm a little bit sceptical. But we'll see how that goes. We're getting some comments in. James Timberlake, thanks again for tuning in all the way from the States. He says, which current player is most likely, that's just dropped off my screen, which current player is most likely to be a head coach, a successful senior coach in the future, Tazza? That's an interesting question.
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, geez. I don't know. Where are you going with that?
I like defenders as head coaches. I like defenders with a good footy brain. I'm going to go with Dane Rampy. I think he'd be a really good, really good head coach.
I'll go Shannon Hearn.
Bunga. Interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think Bunga will go into coaching. I think he's going to go find a farm somewhere and chill out. But don't mind the call. Lenza, still on the coaching train. Which coach will be sacked first this year? This is an interesting question. My gut says Ken.
Yeah. There hasn't been this much pressure on Ken, ever, and one win's not going to gloss over it. Well, once the losses start coming back, he's gone.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. We spoke about Sam Mitchell a little bit earlier. I don't think Sam Mitchell's in danger. I don't think Adam Simpson's in danger because he's got a long contract. And I think that Longmuir has a few years left as well.
Stewie Jude, he just resigned, didn't he?
He did. Actually, Bevo, I think, is also a one to watch for the Dogs. If the Dogs don't make finals, look out. That could be an interesting one. Keep the questions coming in the comments. We've still got another 2 minutes left of our Ask StatChat segment. Dale Goodman says Scott Pendlebury would make a good coach. I agree with that if he does go into coaching. Not sure if he would.
Yeah. He seems like a media guy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is an interesting one there. What else we got, Tazza? Who right now is your premiership favourite? Who do you think is the number one contender right now?
It's hard to go past Collingwood, unfortunately. Their game stacks up, I feel. They're playing they're winning contested ball. That's one of the big metrics. You need to dominate. You can't. You need to win it out of the middle. And I think they've got a good spread of goal scorers too. They don't rely on anyone. In particular, so yeah, I'll go with Collingwood.
Melbourne for me. I know that they played the Eagles, and it's you don't want to overreact to a win like that. Dale Goodman agreeing, but I think Melbourne. Sean Davies has jumped in as well. He thinks Melbourne. I think Melbourne's the number one contender right now. They're good.
Clearly the best two.
Yeah,
I think
they've got the midfield dominance. The back line's humming. If T-Mac can kick goals like he did on the weekend and bags of goals, that's a good sign. So the D's for me. A couple more questions. We had James Timberlake. Which player would you want to have a beer or several beers with? Tazza, anyone you like in particular?
The package, I reckon. I reckon Jake Stringer. I reckon he would just be... It depends what you're looking for. Are you looking for a fun time or you're looking for a good chat?
Whatever you want, mate.
You're looking for a good time, I reckon the package would be pretty funny.
Yeah, I think he would. I'm going to go with Smokin' Joe just because I want to get in the head of this man. I just want to get into the psyche of what is going on with his unit. I
reckon Jezza would be right too.
Jezza Cameron, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good call. Taj saying Harry Sheasel, next $1 million player. Could be. North have cash to splash.
You don't pay halfbacks $1 million.
You know, you don't.
That's all. I want to see him in the midfield first before you're paying that much money.
But he does look $1 million. That is time, by the way. That is 5 minutes, done and dusted. That is the Ask StatChat segment. Tazza, in the broom closet for you. You've done beautifully today, mate. Terrific work.
Yeah, I'll be out next week, hopefully. We'll get back to some sort of normality.
Yep. Looking forward to having a couple more of the boys back on the pod shortly. Thanks for everybody in the chat for tuning in. Loving having you guys involved when we're recording this, because again, this is what we were doing anyway, but now we get to bring it to you live and we get to have the interaction with you while we're doing it. So I think it adds another element for me, Tazza, and I'm really enjoying it. So hopefully we can keep doing more of this.
Yeah, it's heaps better. I enjoy the engagement, the interaction. It just makes it's a lot more fun.
If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. You can not only find us on YouTube, but Spotify. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us putting out content. So make sure you follow us in all those different streams. Tell your mates, tell your friends. We're trying to grow this channel, get it as big as we can. And aside from that, cheers to the guys in the chat giving us a bit of love. We will see you all next week.